I'm getting very much the feeling of the haunted heart. That's an unusual feeling. Biblical Celtic. This is epic. Biblical is the proportion. It's not so much that it's Christianity. Celtic. Biblical Celtic. This is epic. Anything else? Leaving or travel. And as I'm pulling this, I'm getting thwarted. Let's see what we got here. So torn. Desiree is she who yearns, longing for, pining for. Okay. This is what we're getting. Honey, can you show the minis? Just kind of fan them out, whatever. This is the Elqui deck, the she who deck. Really beautiful, beautiful. What happened in here? Why was there haunting? Let me make sure I've got each deck unto itself. This is definitely a you and your person. Each deck unto itself. She who pines. This is them. I'm getting them coming through. It's like almost fenced in, imprisoned energy. Keeper of visions. This is the King of Cups, the supportive King of Cups. This is the one that made you feel balanced. Definitely longing for. It's like you early on saw the frog prince. You saw it early on. Early on you recognized this. And there's something that is totally thrown on, cast about that's totally different. What is going on? Forever questing on his family behalf had shortchanged you. It's like his sense of obligation to his family was so darn huge. There was so much put on him to do, that he had little time, or this person, this other, no, it's a he had little time to engage with you, although you wanted this happiness. So much put on his shoulders, it was ridiculous. And conflict here, conflict there, conflict here, conflict there. It feels like literally was away and in battles. It's the Lady Hawk. It's the story of like when you can't be synchronized, kind of ships in the night. You barely get these moments with each other, but the connection is so true. It's so solid. You make up for lost time. Lots of time alone and on your own and in your own space. Well, off to the battles he goes. The Three of Spells. Sending messages through. It takes a long time to get the message through to him, but you do get messages back and forth. Somehow, you're informing him in the backdrop what's happening that he needs to know. You are a passer of messages to him as well. There's a rooted and groundedness of you, but there's this energy of double agent almost coming up. We got the Seven of Spells here. This is Seven of Wands. Usually this is standing for the boundary, right? But it's also coming through as the Seven of Swords, where there's a little bit of sneaking afoot, thieving afoot. You're telling him, you're giving him the inside information for some of the battles going on, because you're listening closely to what's being said by the others. There's challenges afoot. You're sending him messages to keep him alive, to help with the battle. It's like I'm getting the image of being flanked. So he's going into the battle. There's this side with the enemy, this side with the enemy, and his group is going through, and they'd be flanked. So you would give information so they would know how to proceed so they wouldn't be flanked, or how to take out this side. Strange. Okay. Now we're going to go into the you side of the equation. This is more the him side. This is more the you side. Seen as very beautiful and magical, a conjurer of a sort. This is the weaver of spells and the one who could be very resourceful. This is the wish that you wanted granted, and it's like you throw the coin in the well and you get your wish. However, you have to weave around that wish. Just because you find this love and he is the perfect match doesn't make it easy peasy. Seven of challenges. There's the Seven of Swords right there, you being the double agent. Ace of Boons. Presenting in a undercover kind of way. This conjuring, it's like going in disguise in different places. Letting people see a reflection of what is. I think you really would dress up as the other gender sometimes to fool people, to navigate, to hear information. The magician, the enchanter, knowing certain things, knowing how to get into certain things. In modern times, it'd be like getting into clubs, getting into places that are important to gather information. And the reward is there. The conjuring is there. There were certain places, almost like the theaters with performance art, that you could get in, and there were connections to be made. This is where you would hear about the Toysters and what they were doing with their money and where the troops would be, the soldiers, the army. You would know where they were. This is how you would get messages through. Where are we at? The running back and forth energy is right here. The true north energy, to keep things as a compass, to keep things true north, to help the needle be where it needs to be. This is during Revolution. I'm not sure if we're in French or American Revolution that's going on. I need to look a little further. Yeah, taking the messages, almost like messages with the King's seal. I think we're in the French Revolution. Once in a while, a good romantic tryst. Once in a while, you would have a tryst with this person. You were educated. You didn't have children in this lifetime. You were an agent of change. This would be you also. These are both you. And this one here, you're reflected as the woman, because this is your partnering with this person that on occasion you would get these times. This is you going incognito, in disguise, on the King's errand and delivering messages back and forth. It was a really interesting and exciting time for you. It's really bizarre that it's like your station and your birth weren't all that huge and that epic, but because of your own skills, you were able to navigate in and among the aristocracy, and so you'd get the information, whether it was in the theaters or the performance places. The childhood love that you loved so well, and sometimes even in the markets. This is you and he as children knowing each other. And in the markets, it's like you could go where there would be bunches of vendors, whether they were selling fish or whether they were selling silk scarves, it did not matter. You would be where the vendors were, insinuate yourself in and among the market, perhaps take over somebody's sales opportunity for a minute, say, hey, you might be even as blatant as saying, hey, I'm meeting a friend here, can I stand here with you or be here with you for a bit? And somebody would be like, yeah, well, I'm getting hit in the head. That's not how they would have said it. I need to hit the restroom. I need to go for a bit. Can you mind this stall? This is somebody that would know and trust you well enough that you could sell the tomatoes or whatever it was. You could be in the position where you needed to be at the right time and relay the messages. Now the haunted heart, why was it so haunted indeed? I think it's just haunted because the time you got was sparse. It was, you couldn't build a life together, although you've spent your lives together off and on, off and on. You couldn't, like, have the family or things like that. That's not how it went for you in this particular time. Again, being the envoy, offering things, offering the real reward and the real gifts, messages, and seeds, offering them. Offering substantial. Sometimes you would give monies. You would take monies from A to B. You would take stuff that would be resources. For your position in that time, it was really unusual because you were a woman in that time, and it wasn't like you were super highly favored, but you knew how to use your gifts as a woman to navigate through society when you needed to, and you knew how to hold your hand. This is you being at the gates of hell if you needed to be for this person. You wanted him to survive because of the insight you got, because of the way you operated. It did save him. It saved more than just him. It saved much in his company, I guess it would be. I don't know what they would call that, but the guys, the fellows that he fought with, the people that he fought with, you had a really good effect on the balance of those battles and fights. Yeah, the truth would come forward with him, and he would be on the errand, and he would be fine. He'd go charging into battles that were smart battles to be in, and he would have more information, more knowledge that he was armed with than the average person. I'm getting a point where there was a sea, over the sea, across the ocean. There was a sea. Again, the conjurer comes through very much like here. Very much like here. What are you calling up? Like a literal distraction of whoever was the enemy. A literal distraction by using, whether it's dance or song or the feminine arts, something that is a literal distraction that you create for there. And it allowed stealth. It allowed huge stealth. There were a few of you that were like, I don't even know what you call this. It's the women's agents of change. You would have a few men around you, but you would travel as a company of women. Like in American times, we'd have where people would go entertain the troops. This was kind of what this company would do, but they were stealth. They were stealth, very, very much on the errand of what needed to be done to help these people survive. It was like you and a few others that decided, yeah, we're not losing our men. That was just the decision. You paid attention to the map. You got in where you needed to get to. You talked with other mothers, other women through various cities, and you would know. You had a better knowledge of the globe than a lot of the men and a lot of the soldiers themselves. You had better knowledge of what was going on with foreign affairs, with warring, and all of this. I'm wanting to come away out of this time of where the warring was. I don't know how long that war lasted or those battles lasted. I'm wanting to go a little further in your lifetime, in this lifetime with this person.
Red Sparrow.
Perhaps. This is like I'm wanting to go further in your lifetime. It's not letting me go further in your lifetime. I don't think you guys lived forever long. You would meet in the marketplace. You would plan foreign things. You would see foreign things going on. It was stressful for you. It's not like you guys lived into your 60s. It was like, I think you lived into your maybe late 40s, early 50, and then that was it. And when one of you went, the other one went. I don't think it was anybody got injured in the battle. I don't think that was the case. There was still just different things that had to be handled. You lived a life separate to the regular society. You traveled as a pair. Like if this was you guys traveling, this would be representative of him and this would be representative of you. You would travel as a pair outside the typical normal thing. Sometimes you would be portrayed as wanderers, as outsiders in a way that would be like passing through. Just passing through. And you weren't just passing through. You still helped the generation that was coming behind you as far as what they would need to know to keep things secure. To keep things secure, you would, this is totally it. Six of Pentacles, you'd be helping the generation that came behind you. You'd be giving them the information, the knowledge, the gifts, whatever it was that you could. Navigating by the stars, often traveling to these big festival type things, these big events by things, but traveling by night was often your ally. Money wasn't a problem for you. You held what you needed to hold. There was some heartache for you because you guys would be separate. Not separate from each other, but separate from the society later on. It was a little bit of heartache concerning that. There was a time when you got sick of the battles, a time when you became tired of these battles, and, you know, later in life you weren't ready to go in full on, full on, full on. You would do what you could to support it. There was choices to be made that were difficult choices, and it's like you had to continue to be in this role in how you've served. It was a difficult choice. Sometimes there was reflection about that. Yeah. Very difficult choice. It was a big carry, a big lift for both of you. It wasn't unplanned. It wasn't unforeseen. In fact, you knew this going into it when you were in your youth. Very much in your youth, you knew this. Somebody had mentioned this to you and your person, and you knew it. It like resonated as boom. That is truth. That's how it goes. Forever of cleaning up the battles. That's what it feels like. It's a difficult one. Having the strength and the wherewithal to do it, to run with the wild. And the momentum to be able to do it, the balance to be able to do it. You really helped balance a lot of history in a very stealth kind of way. You wouldn't have been written about, you wouldn't have been known, you wouldn't have been like, well, this is Napoleon's chief general. No. You'd be unknown stealth. Anything else? What else did she tell you? We're going back to, I can only call it witch. I don't know that it is what we would call witch, but that's the word I know. The woman that could foresee this and told you about how this would go early on. What else did she tell you? It's like there's a secret in here that she told you that didn't make sense until later. The union of the lovers. The big reward coming forward. You held firm to whatever it was as far as the project went, and it feels like you got the reward of a cottage. Now, it wasn't like this hugest king's estate, but there was a reward of a cottage and a reward of stability came later in life, and it's like perhaps the king himself or one of the very, very wealthy in the wealthy class had this as the gift, as, okay, this is your reward. You know how like when you have priests in their parish and they live in that house, it's kind of that size of a house. But it wasn't that you were priests or anything like that. It's just a smallish kind of a house that's fairly humble, but it served exactly what you needed it to be. It wasn't too far away that you were out of the loop. You would still be in the loop. I think this woman told you about the smallish house by the river, and I think that that's what it was. And I don't know why it was by the river. This smallish house by the river. That's why. That's what's coming through. It's like, the latter part of life, you were more stayed put, but the information still traveled. Yeah. That's what I've got. Wow. That feels very complete. It's like you brought into fruition what you needed to do. And militarily, if you want to even call it that, you accomplished the tasks that you set to do. You were single-minded. You were very well focused. You worked in tandem all the time. All the time. And there was huge strength. People saw him doing, and you were behind it all along, the both of you working together.
I totally saw that a few minutes ago. Retirement in that small house.
Yeah.
Gifted by the king. Wow.
Yeah. It was like the way you guys united and did your service was so good and so on point. And among the elite and among the aristocracies, many would have known who you were. They might not have known everything, but many would. Many would. Wow. That's what I've got. Holy smokes. That's complete. That's where it's at. That's where it ends. That's what it lets it be. And it feels very era of the French Revolution. Now, I don't know my history well enough to tell you, well, this was on this shore, this was on this land, but this is what I got. Okay. Wow. Wow. Yeah. That's what came through. Good grief. That's a different one. I did not expect that, but hey, I never know what's going to come through on these. It's like, good grief. Wowza. So that's where it's at.
Alrighty.